Welcome back to I Wish Someone Would Have Told Me. I'm your host, Liana Losada, and this episode touches on everything: how Millennial TV informed our generation's body image, dating unavailable people, abandonment, cultivating a creative career path, parental divorce, the immigrant experience, and ultimately, choosing single motherhood through artificial insemination. Yes, you heard that correctly. The other AI. You can consider all that your content trigger warning because in this episode, I sat down with Lara Fox, owner of Creative Fox Films, a wedding cinematography company in Miami, Florida. We discuss her life story and the moments that led her to decide to have a child without a husband or partner. And she does not hold back on the decision's costs, challenges, and rewards. So, let's jump right in. Here is Lara Fox's story.
Wait, can we go back to the?
This is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
The America's Next Top Model.
Yes.
So I have, you know how you always have I have my group of friends from high school, but you always have a group of three.
Yeah, there's always
That's your group.
like you and then three others.
They understand all, yes, and no, two others.
Got
It's
you.
and it's
The
always been
trio.
like the three, yes, and we all pop culture references and everything. And I send them the snippet for like the trailer, and I was like, you know what? I totally saw this coming.
Really?
That there was gonna come some sort of a documentary or an article about this shady shit that would happen on
Why
that
do you
show.
say that?
Because when I really enjoyed the show when I was a teenager when the show came out. So I remember really enjoying the show, but I'm also thinking in my head, bro, they were nasty to those girls. They were mean. They would say mean things like you about body wise or image wise
Right.
or girls. I remember there's an episode, and there's a season. There was a girl. She was from Africa. She was from Africa. I can't remember which part of Africa. I can't remember her name. There was another girl who would make fun of her. I don't remember why she would make fun of her. I think she would, Mean Girls. And she was like, "Oh, I'm from Africa," or something. I'm thinking, whoa, that would not fly.
No.
At all. Like, imagine.
Right.
So, nothing. We grew up watching that.
I did. I watched it religiously.
Religiously.
I was
Religiously.
like, was it on the CW or oh my gosh.
Did it go to Oxygen?
I don't remember.
But it was like, you are still in the running.
So much good cultural content came out of that though, because there was the Tyra moment when she was like, we're rooting for you. We're all rooting for you. We're rooting for you.
I'm like, whoa, Tyra, just relax. Just chill, bro. You're rooting for it. Just relajate.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of stuff of pop culture of us when we grew up. We have about the same age.
Yeah.
And thinking about Titanic comes out. I remember, how Celine Dion, which a lot of people tell me I look like her.
Oh my God, a little bit. You do.
A lot of people come and go, you look like Celine Dion. I'm like, thanks.
Can you do an impersonation or no?
So she comes out with this song.
Right.
The song of the century.
Right.
You could not go to the restroom without hearing this song. It was in your soup. It was everywhere.
Yes.
And I remember watching MTV and they're interviewing. I think it was MTV. They're interviewing her. You're gonna have to fact check all this. Is it MTV?
I might not. We're just
I
gonna
think
roll
it's
with
MTV.
it.
And they're interviewing her. And for some reason, they start talking about her looks, her appearance.
Celine Dion.
Celine Dion, like, you're a freaking queen. Best voices in the industry, female voices, seriously. And at some point, they go around interviewing people in the street and asking, what do you think about Celine Dion? And immediately it's like, she's too thin. Do you find her attractive? Bro, the woman is there.
Listening.
Live to what people are commenting about her looks. We grew up on that.
Do you think, well, how old were you around that time, like when all these things were happening?
So I was about 10, 11, 10, I think 10 when Titanic came out.
Yeah, so I was around 11. It was actually the first movie that I went to see by myself, like in the movie
Yourself?
theater, without my parents.
Wow.
Yeah. They let
Bro.
me go. Why, did you not do that?
I mean, we were a lot more lax back then.
Yeah.
But by yourself, it's pretty.
Yeah.
It's impressive though.
They let me go with friends and
watch these. Hundreds of people die in an accident.
There wasn't a way to know before at that time, like what to.
Well, the Titanic,
expect.
we knew what happens at the end. Though.
Right, but they didn't know the storyline. They didn't know there was going to be like, you know, the nude scene and all this other stuff. But
Totally.
it was the first time that I was able to like go to the movie
That's
with my
pretty
friends
cool.
by myself, and then I did it 3 more times. Yeah.
You remember back then, you could walk out of the theater and then jump into like
another one all the time.
I would jump into another, get out, wait for a little bit, and jump. I think back then Titanic was so popular, they had it in like multiple.
Yeah, it would be showing in multiple theaters.
Yeah, so I would get out of one showing and just jump into that. And I was like, yep, totally in love with Leo DiCaprio. Just utterly in love with him.
I had a Leo DiCaprio poster on my wall growing up, but it was from the scene from Romeo and Juliet, where he's looking through the fish tank. And so it's like, let's imagine this is a fish tank, and he's looking through the fish tank at her. So yeah, obsessed, first love. Not so much anymore. Things are a little strange there. But
I know, right? What's up with the whole thing? Like, if you turn 25, it's almost like you turn into a pumpkin. It really annoys me.
It's so weird. But those things really did kind of inform, like, what was normal or what was expected of us.
Sure.
And it was very overt. Did you have a similar experience with that?
With what?
With just having these conversations very openly, like the things that they were saying on America's Next Top Model, or the things they were saying about Celine
It was
Dion.
really, I think it was kind of normalized.
Did you imprint it, though?
You know, well, see, I remember boys in my class creating a list of hottest to ugliest girl in the class.
Oh my God.
We were 11.
Right. Like, why would you do that?
Guess where I was? All the way at the bottom, always.
How did you feel when you saw that list?
Sucked. It sucked.
Yeah.
It really shapes the way, I mean, to this day, I have a lot of, you know, it really, it kind of maps out
Right.
how you're going to feel about yourself.
Yeah, for a long time.
And I think this happens to even women who are objectively beautiful.
Right.
You know, women who are stunning. I also feel like if you ask them, how do you feel about yourself? They probably don't feel like they're the hottest thing in the room.
Why do you think that is?
I have no clue.
Well, it doesn't really come up until you actually start having those kind of conversations.
Sure.
Right.
And I think it's probably a vulnerable state where, I don't know, but sometimes I'll look. Recently, I was at the supermarket and I saw this woman, and God, she was breathtaking, just absolutely beautiful. The thing is, most of the time, if you go to a woman and you tell her you're beautiful, she'll be, oh my God, like, oh, okay, thank you. Very few times have I said something about someone's appearance and they'll be like, they will brush me off or something. They'll feel a little like coy about it, like, oh my God, I committed sin.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. I wish I had a better answer as to why we are wired this way. Why do I care so much about my appearance? And I think maybe it comes down to, why do I care what anybody thinks?
Right.
At all. About anything.
It's interesting, kind of similar, going back to that comment that you made about her, or like people being coy. Like if someone gives you a compliment, it's almost assumed that you have to be coy about it. Have you ever had a moment where you're just like, I feel really good and I want to be able to express the fact that I feel really good right now? And why do you think we're supposed to be coy?
Listen, it's also part of a personality. I do feel, I think beauty can be an awesome thing, but it can also be, it's a thing that's finite. It's
right.
It's here and then it's not here. Or it evolves.
Right.
You know, I'm getting to my 40s. I don't feel the same way about myself.
I certainly do
when
not.
I look at older pictures of myself and I'm like, wow. And when I was like in my 20s, I was like, I would never You know, I would never get any of Botox or this or that. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I'm like, I need to call someone up. You know. So but then again, I don't want it to come off like that's a bad thing. I feel like caring about your appearance I think it is a healthy thing. I think that the problem is when it becomes an obsession. For me, it was an obsession. Being told when I was young that I'm ugly shaped a lot of how I valued myself.
Right.
I mean, there's no other way around. You have to be a phoenix of a woman for you to have somebody call you to your face scarecrow and get over it, you know? It doesn't, it's there. And I wish people, and you know, something important though, because I lived in the States and then we moved to Uruguay.
Where did you grow up?
Israel.
Okay.
So I was born in Israel. I lived there until I was 9. We came here briefly with my family, my brothers, to the States for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then my younger brother and I, we went to Uruguay to live with my grandmother.
Gotcha.
And there was a total shift. Now, during this time, I was 11, 12, so I'm entering my preteens.
Yeah.
Kids start to, you know,
it's a weird time.
Start to change.
It's a weird time.
But what I've noticed is I felt like the culture over there was a lot more obsessed with appearance.
Israel.
No.
Oh.
Uruguay. I know.
Uruguay. Really?
The culture, and I don't know if anybody who's ever been to Argentina, Uruguay, there's this obsession about the way women look. Because women there are kind of hot.
So there's like a really high standard.
There's a
even
super
from like
high,
day to day.
Yes, I did feel that way. And recently, sorry, I'm just throwing things in there. But recently, I was scrolling on my phone, and this reel pops up about a girl. She's Mexican, and she says, "My Argentinian boyfriend," and she was a Uruguayan boyfriend, and she says exactly what I'm telling you. And this is the first time I hear someone else say this.
Verbalize it, yeah.
Yes, like absolutely. The standards of beauty over there are a lot higher, I feel, than the standards of beauty here. Believe it or not.
Interesting.
Yes.
And you never took time to figure out maybe why that was or where that was coming from?
No, I was trying to learn Spanish back then.
So you, born in Israel, come to the States for a little while. Did you feel that first? So the pressure really didn't come from the United States. It came when you moved to Europe.
Yeah, but I also think it coincided with the fact that I was entering my preteens.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just look different. It's not like your natural, you know, objective stereotype, you know. It's different. I have a different face. It's fine. But it didn't feel different. It felt wrong. You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, to this day, now I'm better about it. I have a lot more confidence about it. I don't care as much anymore.
Right.
But, you know, it's always there.
Did you have anybody in your family to kind of help you navigate that during that time?
No, I was I wasn't open about these things at all. Very quiet. I wouldn't go to somebody and hey, this is how I feel. I have a problem. I didn't have anybody guide me. My grandmother was older than me. It was a totally different generation. And God bless her. This woman saved my life. But in many ways, she was a phenomenal, important figure in my life. But there was a lot of other subjects that I couldn't talk to her about. My appearance. I remember when I got my period, for example, and I told her I got my period, and she was like, it was like all hush hush here. Like, here's the pad.
Don't
Go
talk
to
about
the
it.
bathroom. Don't say anything.
Right.
I'm like, okay, what happens next? But it wasn't like that. So, lots of hush hush. No, you wouldn't talk about your problems like that.
And so how did that sort of lean into your teen years? Like, how was that pressure along with the way that you grew up? How did that all sort of formulate as you grew into a teenager? Take your time.
There was just so much because it also coincided with the breakup of my family. So when we moved to Uruguay, my family gradually started to break up. So my parents they divorced when I was very young. I was a toddler. My mom had she remarried. They had another kid, who's my younger brother.
Yeah.
And then eventually we move away from Israel. So first I lose my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then my older brother left when we were here after a year. He was older, so he was about 14, 15. He was like, yeah, I want to go back home.
Oh,
so he
wow.
went back.
Mm-hmm.
And then a year later, my mom and my stepfather, they broke it off.
Okay.
And that's when my mom was a single mom. She couldn't handle it. It was just too much. In the period of 2 years, too many things had happened.
Right.
So she asked her mom, my grandmother, if we could go for about a year to Uruguay, and a year turned into 10. But
10 years.
I lived there 10 years.
Wow.
I went there from I came back out when I was 21. So I think it was a lot of processing of, I need to learn Spanish. I really don't fit here. Looks, I don't have my mommy, I don't have my daddy.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you feel abandoned at all?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You don't understand that you feel abandoned because I don't even know back then how I experienced it.
Because you don't have the words at that age.
You
You can't
don't.
articulate it. So it all kind
No.
of stays bottled up, or it comes out in different ways.
Sometimes I'll think about that time, and I think the adults around us were really trying to do their best.
Yeah.
I think they could have maybe done a little more.
What would you have liked to be slightly different?
I wish we would have never left Israel, to be honest.
Mm.
I mean, being with my grandmother was the best thing for us,
Right.
really. But those years, I mean, true growing pains. I started having obsessive compulsive disorders, like really heavy ones where I would hurt myself.
When you were a teen?
Why would I move to Uruguay?
Oh, immediately.
Immediately I moved
Yeah.
and things started clicking. I thought it was just a period. It was a reaction to everything else. I couldn't
Right.
control anything around me.
Right.
So you start doing these OCD things. Why? Because that's, you can kind of, you're
control
trying to
it.
control.
Absolutely.
And in the way, so I would for example, wash my hands until my skin was just raw. The lights, the switches, the
Yeah.
constant fear. And one day I said to myself, you're not going to wash your hands today. We didn't do therapy. I didn't go to therapy or anything like that. It was like, today I'm not going to wash my hands. And then the next day, today I'm not going to wash my hands either.
So it was a conscious
I have
switch.
no clue how I came up with that, but I was
Right.
probably 12 when I was like, I need to stop washing my hands because this hurts.
And no one called it out to you.
No.
It was your own,
No, it was
something switched.
Lara has an obsessive disorder.
Wow.
But it's also a cultural thing, I think. Like in my family, in my grandmother's side, there's this sense of sufrimos. We just suffer. We just go through it.
It's the Latino way.
It's the Latino Jewish way. Just suffer, bro. Just go
Life
through
is
it.
suffering. Let yourself suffer.
Now I feel like we're sometimes a little too aware in our culture, which is not also, it's not good to be all the time aware either.
Right.
Because you need to move on.
Right.
If you're so focused on your problem, you can't move on.
Right.
Back then, we just never focused on the problem.
We just pretended like it didn't happen.
Nothing's happening here in my arm. My hands are like
Yes.
bone. So many things were happening there. I think the loss of my family, feeling abandoned, then dealing, oh my God, so I'm also ugly? Bro, am I smart?
In your mind, yeah. Yeah.
At least am I smart? No, you're actually not, because you were in the American education system and you're actually quite behind, so we need to give you,
no.
extra tutoring. So and on top of that, dumb? Oh, bro.
Damn.
Yeah. So, yeah. It took a while.
And then you leave at 21. You come back to the States.
I left at 21. I didn't want to be in Uruguay anymore.
Where'd you go?
Here.
To Miami.
I came back to Miami. Never thought I would. I needed to get out of Uruguay. I needed a fresh I felt like I was always going to, I was sexually assaulted in Uruguay, and I could never really get over it.
Yeah.
And I always felt like it felt like a cage.
Right.
And I just kind of needed to get away.
Did it help leaving?
Yeah, it did. It did help.
Was it an immediate thing, or is it something that you
No,
found
it took a while.
down the line?
Yeah, that probably happened when I was about 15.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't leave until I was 21. At some point, you know, when you wake up every day and you think about it, you think about that.
Yeah.
You're thinking, I just want to wake up and not think about this.
Right.
I don't want to think about it. I want to get away from these people that remind me of this.
Mm-hmm. Have you been back since?
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
go back
I go all
often?
the time. And it's totally different. Now, I don't feel that way anymore.
Right.
There's a fearlessness that I didn't have back then, where if Uruguay is a small place. Montevideo, which is the capital where I grew up, it's very small. You will see those places all the time. You will
The same people.
run into the people at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't want to. I couldn't deal with it anymore. And I think now that I'm older, there's another attitude to me and to how I view that whole situation.
Right.
That if I go back, I'm like, anybody gives me anything, I will.
Fuck them up.
I will mop the fucking floor with them. Like
You can curse.
Yes, I will.
We curse on this podcast.
I will mop the floor with them. Back then, I didn't have that courage.
Right. How did you start to cultivate that for yourself?
I don't know. You just get old, and you just get tired of shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just get older, and you know, I admire people who at a very early age kind of figure it out. And
Does anybody really figure it out
I feel
early,
like
though?
they have this certain knowledge that gets them in a place
Right.
earlier on in life.
Right.
Not me.
Will they cultivate? Will they just come out fearless?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to get there. I feel like I was when I was really young. I think that's the beauty about kids. Kids are, many of them, most of them, they're kind of fearless. They don't have all these, they don't have these American Next Top Model thing on them, you know?
Yeah.
They are this canvas, and they are their true selves.
Yeah.
And then they enter the world. And if you don't have somebody to hold your hand when you are confronted with all these different challenges, it can kind of break you in a way.
Yeah.
Everyone can have a kid. Not everybody can raise a kid.
Not everyone can be a parent. Yeah.
No. Now that I have a kid, and it was mostly about, I want to raise someone and just be there for this, just serve, you know. I feel like we didn't have that. And it's no one's fault. Things were tough. People were trying to do their best. It just didn't work out. I don't think my parents were ready when they
To have children.
No, when it happened. But it doesn't matter because they had us and we're fine.
Yeah.
You know, and I have two brothers who I love, and you just have to move on.
Yeah.
You have to move on. You can't get stuck in the moment. You know, kind of like that U2 song, Stuck in the Moment.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes we get stuck in the moment and we can't.
You're stuck in the story.
Yeah.
You can get stuck in the narrative.
You can get stuck in this. It's really about the story that you tell yourself. You know, for the longest time, I was like, I was abandoned. I was abandoned. No, the person left.
Yeah.
I wasn't abandoned. They left because the idea of abandonment is saying that there's something wrong with you.
Oh.
And that's why they were like, I'm out.
Right.
No.
It puts the blame on you.
It puts the blame on you.
Right.
And, you know, you don't realize these things. And so one day you're grown up and you've lived a bit, and I feel like I'm one of those people that I just have to live a while to get to a point where if I don't like something, I'll say it. If somebody gives me, you know, this much shit, I'll say something. I just, you know, I'm gonna be 40. That went by really fast. I don't want to be 80 and think, I wish I would have, like,
Right.
you know, there's very few things I regret. really. And it wasn't easy. But one of the things I regret is not having told more people to fuck off earlier. I wish I would have not put up with a lot of different things. And I know why I did. It was, I'm you know, you're putting up with situations because you think that this is what you kind of deserve, I guess.
Did you do a lot of that in your 20s more so than in your 30s?
In my 30s. Yeah, putting up with things. I mean, putting up with people and situations. And, you know, I feel like we put ourselves in situations that we don't really want to do, things we don't feel like doing. And we just do it because we feel like that's either the expectation or...
When did that start to shift for you?
Really, my 30s. It was really closer to my 30s. It just took a while to get there. When I started, so what I do, I'm a videographer. When I started to build more confidence when I was taking on projects and things that are close to me. So, I started working with cameras. I started, you know, the video business, and
you started that in your 30s?
I was 27, really. So I went to film school, but out of film school, I don't know why I couldn't land a job. I wasn't. Things were just not happening for me. I worked in the restaurant business for the longest time, for like a total of 6 years.
When did you graduate? What year did you graduate?
2012. 2012. Gotcha. And until 2013, I was working, was it 2013?
Around that time.
No, I was still working in the restaurant business. For the longest time, I was just doing something I completely hated doing. I did not like doing it. But it was just something that I did because it would give me enough money to, I mean, I was living by myself at that point. So it was like kind of a need. But I was like, I can't be doing this to myself. Like, I'm so disconnected from who I feel I'm supposed to be, you know? And I was like, the hell with it. I need to stop working in the restaurant business. I'm only going to say yes to work that is related to what I want to do, and what I want to do is filmmaking. Whatever that is.
Just give me a camera.
Just give me a camera. And that was the first step. I had stopped working finally in the restaurant business, but I didn't have money. So I started there was this ad somewhere. They were looking for a stewardess for this private airline thing. It was like a charter.
Yeah.
And they were going to give you the training. So I signed up, and then they actually said, okay, yes, we're going to train you. I went to like 2 of those trainings. I was like, Lara, ¿qué mierda estás haciendo? ¿Qué estás haciendo? What are you doing? You're doing it again.
You're just doing something just because.
You're doing it just because you're so I get it. You want the money. I understand all that, but you're doing it again. This is not who you are. You are not a stewardess. No offense to anybody who's a stewardess. This is just not me.
Right.
So I went to my trainer. I told him, I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to come back. And then I called a friend of mine, and I told her, she had just bought a house in Miami Shores. And I told her, listen, I need to get out of my place. I really just can't pay for it anymore. I need to start sizing down. And I need to figure this out. And she was so kind. She rented a room in her house. And it was going to be for a while, but I lived there for like 6 years. And during this time, but during this time, I was able, that's how I started working. Oh, I remember I stopped working. Oh, crazy. Stopped doing the stewardess thing. Not doing stewardess. I went to bureau.
Oh, yeah.
Because my friend Sten, who we went to film school with, I think he called me up or something. And he's like, yeah, I'm a bureau. I'm like, oh, you know what? I actually happen to be in the area. Why don't I stop by and say hello?
Yeah.
So I stopped by in the office. This is a shared co-working space.
Yeah.
I go in and say hi to him. I think he was on a call or something. And I bump into another girl. Her name is Jamie.
Yeah.
And she used to be a customer when I was working in one of the restaurants. in the area.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Jenny, what are you doing here? I was like, no, we moved the office here because now we're sharing the space. Her boss, who's an interesting character, was on the phone. She looks at me. She's like, do you speak Spanish? I'm like, I do. He's like, want a job? I'm like, okay.
Just like that.
And it was a very low paying job. They just needed somebody to talk to their Spanish speaking talent.
Yeah.
And so I started working there.
So you were working at a talent agency.
I started working at a talent agency for like $11 an hour, very part time. But I had moved out from my apartment, so I totally downsized everything.
Yeah.
And I was there for like 6 months or so, and I was getting PA, production assisting jobs. So little by little, one day, another friend, she was working for Viacom, who owns MTV, and they were looking for another production assistant full-time. Long story short, I apply, I get the job. I remember the day that I got the phone call that I was gonna work for a Viacom, and it was like one of the happiest days of my life.
Yeah.
Then another period started where, guess what? I hated working at Viacom.
But you got the experience.
I got the experience,
right?
And it gets me closer to what I want to do with my life,
right?
And at one point, I'm talking to my editor, and I'm saying, "Dude, I don't know why it's like I have the experience. Like seriously, I have the experience. I wish and why are they maybe hiring somebody else who's not as experienced?" And it's totally fine, but he would say, "Well, because you don't smile enough."
That's what he said?
But how many times has somebody told you need to smile more?
Oh, well.
What the fuck does my smile have to do with me holding a camera?
Unfortunately for me, I'm like a big smiler.
Oh. You have a great smile, though.
Thank you.
It's a really nice smile.
It's hard for me not to smile. I mean, I get what you're saying. It's annoying. Because sometimes if I'm not smiling, because people are so used to me smiling, that they're like, why are you not smiling? So I understand.
Why are you not smiling?
Well, just I'm thinking, or I'm, I don't know, but I don't walk around smiling.
Yeah, you don't walk around like you have a hanger in your mouth. Yeah.
Right. But it's an awkward thing to say, and even more awkward coming from an employer.
Yeah.
It's not even about you can do your job well, you're efficient, you have experience. It's about you don't smile.
Yeah, it's more about being liked, I guess.
Right.
And here's the thing. I feel like I'm a very nice person. I feel like I have a lot of integrity. But there's part of that integrity is that I'm not going to convince you that I'm phenomenal or something, or that I'm like, you like me, great. You don't like me, and I've that's happened when somebody's like, I don't like you. And like, todo bien.
Yeah.
We don't all have to be liked and accepted.
Right.
The thing is with expectations is that sometimes people will set an expectation for you. And this is your expectation. Because you prove, oh my God, Lara is so nice. She's so nice. And then one day, maybe you do something that I feel you cross the line, and I'll be like, yeah, not cool.
Right.
And they'll be like, oh my God, what happened to Lara? ¿Qué le pasa a ella? What's wrong with her? She's just so nice, apparently. It's like, no. You had an expectation. I'm the same person. I have different layers. I have different, I'm a three-dimensional person, So going back to that comment, it kind of annoyed me. It really did annoy me. But
where'd you go from there?
I was already working with my buddy who had a wedding company, and I started working for him, just kind of learning the ropes and the gear and how to shoot weddings. And then one day I shot a wedding and for me, and then I started a company.
Amazing.
And that what happened 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like there was a lot of crap in these years, and there were a lot of moments that were really just not great.
Yeah. How is as you're building your career, how is your personal life folding into this?
Not good.
Say more.
It's always been a bit of a challenge, partner-wise. I do love romance. I love the high of romance. it was really hard for me to visualize being with someone on the long run. And I tended to kind of date the same person in a way. You know, it's like
Yeah.
different guy, same vibes.
Yes.
Been
there.
Yeah. Emotionally unavailable.
Guilty.
Yeah, just I mean, seriously, I'm thinking something that I think back of like, but here's the thing. I'm wondering sometimes if we are dating the wrong person, either because we feel like this is what we deserve, and because we, you know, your concept of love. This is what your concept of love is.
Yeah.
Just constant struggle and feeling unloved and then loved and then high and then low and then this maniac kind of mania type of relationship. Exactly. And or is it that you're not ready for a long-term relationship and that's why you're choosing these people? Because they're not going to give you what you're really afraid of, which is to this day, I'm not sure.
About long-term commitment.
To this day, I'm not sure if I was choosing people who did not want a commitment because I didn't want a commitment, or it was a lack of saying, "Hey, I'm a high value woman," you know.
I think it's safe to say you could play both sides. I think the two can be true at the same time.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
And I'm sure when you think about what relationships look like to you, there could be a consequence at the end of that. When you create a family or whatever, that some person may decide to go. So why commit if someone might decide to go?
Totally.
Do you feel like you went through that a lot?
Yeah. But the good thing, it never turned into something where I completely lost control of the relationship, where we're already living together. We never got to that point. But it wasn't good relationships. Again and again, I would find myself in a situation where I'm like, I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel like I'm getting what I need. I feel like I'm getting bones and I should be getting the whole thing, you know? And eventually, I feel like things really started to turn for me. In my, how old was I when in 2020? Let's see. I'm going to be 38, 2025.
33.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Age of Jesus. So I was 33. That's when something else happened during that time that really helped a lot. And I can't understate how much this was helpful for me. I stopped drinking. Completely.
Good for you.
Completely.
In 2020.
2020, the day of the pandemic when everybody was getting hammered.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not doing this.
Why did you decide that for yourself?
I was watching the Super Bowl. And J-Lo comes on.
I remember this very clearly.
I was like holding a glass of wine. I had been day drinking. I was like, J-Lo doesn't drink. I should stop drinking. And I mean, it sounds stupid. It wasn't because of J-Lo, but I remember just thinking this. It wasn't because of her. I already wanted to do this.
Right.
I was going to do it for a month.
Right.
And then I just kept going. And then
you lost the desire?
I lost the desire to drink because I got in a high of what it felt like not to drink. I was so much more grounded. I didn't realize how much, like, if I was having a crap day, I would come home and let's just drink. Right. Or I would go on a date, and instead of just connecting with the person, seeing if this person is really what I want,
have a drink.
we're just gonna go out and drink, and probably we're gonna end up making out and whatever.
Right.
Not anymore.
How did that affect your personal and your dating life? Like, was it something that people were immediately receptive to, or did you get a lot of pushback?
It affected. I think it does affect. I don't think we realize how our culture drinks way too much. I don't care if anybody feels like I see it because when you stop drinking, you realize how much others are drinking. You realize, and I used to drink that way too. And it affects, at least me, it really affected my judgment about a lot of things. Because when you're drinking, everything kind of turns a little rosy.
Right.
When in reality, nothing is kind of rosy and you're not doing that great. And you need to listen to that.
Would it stop you from dealing with things that you felt like maybe you should be dealing with?
Sure. Definitely. Definitely. It's a depressant. It depresses something. It takes something and it just
Right.
And so when I was trying to date, I would tell him, I don't drink. Sometimes if the guy felt weird about me not drinking, then they have a problem.
Right.
I'm not the one with the problem. I can
Right.
go to a bar. I'm gonna have fun. I will dance, and I'm a good dancer.
Yes.
And it doesn't affect anything. On the contrary, I'm just so aware of what I need and if you're going to give me what I need.
Right. And where your energy levels are. Am I tired because I didn't sleep, or am I tired because of this, or am I just, whatever the case may be.
Am I connecting with this person because we're both a little,
Right.
Or I'm connecting with this person because there's a true connection.
Absolutely.
I feel like alcohol and anything that you can take kind of obfuscates how you really feel. Very helpful. I recommend it to anybody. That helped me connect with myself a lot more and what I wanted. And I slowly stopped dating guys that just, it was easier for me to catch on to those cues that this is not for you, and say, I'm walking away a lot sooner. I would have probably been in those situations a lot longer.
Just kind of not made excuses, but maybe tolerated something that you really didn't want.
Yes, there's so many things that we tolerate because either we think we have this optimism where we're thinking the other person is going to change.
Yeah.
I don't think they will. At least not for you, because they're not going to do it for them. Why would they do it for you?
Yeah.
They're just not going to do it. This is who they are. Just move on.
Right.
Also, I'm not a therapist. I'm like, no.
This is not my job.
This is not my job.
Oh, I feel that to my core.
And I mean, I think it's also the culture, the movies, the bad boy. Oh, if he falls in love, he changes. Fuck no, he doesn't change.
Right.
He doesn't.
Yeah. Did you being a wedding photographer and videographer, did that impact the narrative in your head? Because it's almost like a contradiction in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
How did that?
I love watching couples getting. And listen, I think true love exists.
Yeah.
I have friends who are married to their best friend.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Here's the thing. That's the standard.
Right.
That's what I want. I want nothing that is an inch. That's not
what you see and what you document and what you've experienced.
No, and the thing with couples is sometimes you see people getting married and you're thinking, wow, these people are just, this is it.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting that vibe.
Right.
Then one of my last boyfriend, the one that gave me the book,
the big Dune book over there.
We have phenomenal chemistry.
Yes.
To this day, we're really good friends, actually. But he didn't want to have kids, for example. And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not sure if I want to have kids, but I feel like if I'm with you, then it's off the table. It's off the table.
Right.
I can't even ponder whether I want to have kids or not. So, I don't know. Don't wait for anybody.
When did that motherhood narrative, story, journey begin to form for you?
I think it was always kind of simmering. About whether I wanted to be a mom. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to be a mom. I just thought a lot about my childhood. I was like, I don't know, man.
You didn't want to carry it over.
Yeah, what if I suck? I'm terrible at this. Look at me talking shit about my mom and then doing this someone else.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a mom. It was mostly a no for a long time. Because I thought also, the state of the world. I'm Jewish. I'm a Jew.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Israeli part didn't.
Yeah.
And I've encountered hate and anti-Semitism, bigotry, and I was thinking, bringing a kid to live in this world that after centuries continues to
disappoint
in this way. But I think there were, in the last 2 years, so 2020, 2020, end of 2021, there were a couple of things that were like, okay, I'm doing this. One was I was getting older,
Yeah.
and I wasn't. I think like I should consider this really, because the reality is, a guy can have kids whenever he wants. Robert De Niro is 80. He had a kid. I know, 6 months ago. We have a limit.
Yeah.
We have a time.
Well, I will also counter that and say one thing that I've learned personally is I think men rely on that too much. And at least through my journey and experience, I've learned like, oh, wait a minute, you can. That doesn't mean they're like good. Like it's a good thing to do.
Totally.
I was like, wait a minute, your sperm quality is not
that good.
Yeah, like it does decline at some point.
Sure.
So yes, they can fire away whenever they want, but I think there's a big misconception about whether you should continue after a certain point.
Sure, but biologically,
yes,
they don't have a time stopwatch.
No. They can do it. Shoot all day long.
It's different for us.
Absolutely.
And so I was reaching my 35, and so that was kind of there. And then when I was dating this last boyfriend who didn't want to have kids, we were in IKEA, and we went to buy something for him. We get in the car, and on the way back home, it was one of my best friend's birthday. She's in Uruguay, and we do a video call with our other friends in the group. And we were celebrating, her birthday, and there's a surprise, and she shows us a photo. She's pregnant.
Yeah.
And I was so happy for her. It's her first kid. So happy for her. I hang up the phone, and I don't know why I was so sad suddenly.
Oh, wow.
I was suddenly so sad because I realized I was never going to know what that. I was not going to experience that. And I think that was a very definitive moment where I was like, I think I want this.
Yeah.
I do want this. I just don't, in my head, I don't think I can have this.
Right. Why did you feel that way?
Because I'm dating a guy who doesn't want to have a kid. Like, what am I doing? Again, it's the stewardess thing. What am I doing?
Right. Yeah.
And he's a phenomenal person, but so we ended up breaking up. I was like, you don't want to have kids.
Right.
I'm glad that happened. And
what was the journey after you guys break up? Did you immediately say, I'm going to do this on my own, or were you still trying to date?
I was still trying to date.
And then what was the result of like that
I
process?
dated one guy, and it just, again, it was, the good thing is I was catching on to the things that I didn't want very soon, and also we break it off, and then suddenly I reach January is my birthday. So end of January 2021, I'm talking to my dad, tell him, well, I'm going to be 35. Yeah. He's like, yeah, how do you feel about that? I'm like, I don't know. There's some things I really kind of want to think about. And he's like what? I'm like, whether I want to be a mom or not. I'm thinking maybe I should do it by myself. And my dad is like, you know what? I didn't want to say anything. Really? I think you should. He was like, I think you should. I didn't want this. I wanted it to come from you.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out how to do it. At the same time, I have a really good friend. She was freezing her eggs. And she told me about her clinic. So I was like, let me schedule a call with the clinic. I scheduled a call with the clinic. And then everything just
went from there.
Once you started.
Right.
Now, I did have a breakdown.
This wasn't all like roses.
It was like
and rattlers, roses and rattlers. Right. Well, because there's a reality that you have to accept and mourn when you say, I'm going to do this by myself.
You're scared.
Yeah.
I spent the last few years of my life utterly and totally dedicated to my well-being, to healing, to getting to know who am I? Who am I? Who I want to be, and honor that. And once you have a baby,
Yeah.
so we start the process. I go through all these tests that we need to do, blood tests. It's like maybe like a couple of months of that, and then you look for the donor. I wasn't really shopping around. I honestly, the first donor, the first sperm I liked
Yes.
was the sperm I ended up with.
Oh, it was that
purchasing.
Right. Did you? So immediately you were. I'm gonna straight into embryo
I
IVF.
made myself a problem. Well, yes, but it's so really the way I did it is artificial insemination. It's really the simplest of all. So I'm not doing any in vitro. They're not taking the eggs and freezing it. They're basically inseminating.
Got you.
So it's really the easiest of all forms. And I had made a promise to myself that I was not, if, for example, we give it a few tries and I don't get pregnant, it doesn't work out. I had read stories about women that were they wanted to have a baby so much. It wouldn't work initially, and then they would start hormones therapy and start doing this and start doing that and spending thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And I respect that, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't go through that. God bless you.
Right.
Strong, amazing. But that's why I think it's also important about that period of time of getting to know myself. How much I'm willing. What are my boundaries for that? My boundary was, if I don't get pregnant that way, I'm not going to do hormones. I'm just going to make my peace. Like I tried, but my body
absolutely
wasn't, this is not my path. I'm fine. Moving on.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened.
How long did it take you to actually get pregnant?
It's the second try.
Oh, with the same donor.
Same donor.
How was the donor process?
So the clinic will give you providers, different providers. I just chose the one that had a name that I liked from the companies. I was like, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I like this name. Let's go in there. And you create an account and you have kind of a catalog. It's Tinder. But it wasn't like that though.
Do you see their pictures you see their
picture as a toddler or a baby?
Oh, interesting.
Some of them will have adult photos.
Right.
Most of them don't. And you know what? Good.
Right.
Again, the first donor I saw, he was in. I had my favorites list.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a huge list or anything. Like I'm not gonna go shopping around. I'm not gonna go crazy. The first donor I liked was the donor I ended up choosing, and well, then you go ahead, you buy the sperm, check out, and after that you make the appointment for the procedure. And after I was done with everything was ready to go. I had a meltdown. I had a meltdown. I was like, bro, I'm doing this. Like, you talk about it so much and you're doing the things, but then you get to you're almost at the finish line and you're like, can I take this on? I had dedicated the last few years of my life to just me. And it was phenomenal. I needed that. I feel like for most of my life, I was always trying to cater to others.
Yeah.
And the last few years of my life, I was totally dedicated to my health, to having good routines, to anything that wasn't working, like just out. I was in a phenomenal place. I was about to change all that. The stability. So I had a meltdown and I call my aunt in Israel and I tell her, I'm like bawling, like crying.
Like a full on.
I'm like, I'm also thinking I'm gonna disappoint my if I don't do it, I tell her I'm about to do this, and I don't know. I was thinking a lot about my childhood, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. This is terrifying. And she was like, oh my God, thank God, bro. Like I was like thinking you were an absolute anormal for not I was like, you're going like headstrong, not even questioning things, not even having a moment. And I was actually concerned. Thank God you're having this moment. You're human. Of course you're afraid. Everyone's afraid. A woman who's with a partner and is about to have a baby is scared. All my friends actually told me that a couple of weeks before their baby was coming, they were having a meltdown too. So that calmed me down. She was like, what's happening is fine. You're supposed to feel afraid. Your life is going to change. And if you want to do it, great. And if you don't want to do it, that's fine too. And I was like, no, I felt a lot better after that conversation, and we did it.
And it took how many tries?
2. I was lucky. I realized that was a fortunate thing.
So you have to wait until you ovulate every single time?
Yes. You ovulate, you get excited about your ovulation, you buy these little strip things, and you're like, I'm ovulating. You go, you get the procedure done, and then you wait.
And when you found out it had actually worked, what was that moment like?
I have I saved
the video?
The test.
You saved the test.
Oh, yeah. I saved the test I peed on, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I saved it, and I don't know, I was shaking. I was just...
How did you prepare? Because you're going into this by yourself. Did you have a strong circle around you to kind of help you navigate this change? Were you the type to dive into books? Were you calling a therapist?
Not really. I did read a book, but it was mostly about sleeping stuff. And I mean, I really think that there's a lot of things that will come in an instinctual way. Really, books can be wonderful, but there's certain things that you have the time
that are built in.
They're built in. Totally. Thank you. Mm-hmm. The great thing about having kids when you are already in your 30s is that your friends probably already have kids. And you saw them go through a lot of shit.
Yes.
That was super helpful. I wasn't walking into this thinking that this is going to be glamorous. There's nothing glamorous about this. I have not done my nails.
They look great, by the way.
I mean, some oil. I used to be blonde.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I used to be blonde, but like Nora Ephron said once, being blonde is like a career. You just really have to be invested.
Maintain it,
right? No. But I don't want that to be like discouraging. Oh my God, I have to let go of myself. No, I think it's just part of it. It's just really part of it. My grandmother was a person that was there to serve. I back then I thought she was just I took it for granted. I was like, yeah, whatever, she's just doing it. No. She was a woman who liked to serve others, to be there for others, to give them opportunities. This is what it's like. It's the most selfless thing that you are going to do with your life, really, because it's not fun. It's not glamorous. And there are days where you're like, what the fuck have I done? But this morning, I wake up and he's already in my bed because he woke up in the middle of the night, and I'm like, yeah, come with me. Mm-hmm. I wake up and I hear him that he's waking up. He's like turning around, and he's like, okay, Mom, come on, wake up. But I'm still with my eyes closed. I'm thinking, no, please, just keep sleeping. I'm tired. And then I hear, Mama, with the sweetest voice that will just
melt it all away.
And I open my eyes and he laughs. I don't know. I can't explain that.
Yeah.
I can't explain that.
It's something that probably has to only be experienced.
100%. Before I had my kid, my mom friends would be like, I would say something. Oh my God. Que pendeja que era. I would say stuff and they would be like, you don't understand because you're not a mom. And I would sometimes kind of scoff at that, like, oh.
Did it bother you when people would say that?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit. It does. It does bother. Because I think it sometimes hurts your womanhood. I don't know. Do you
I understand.
Feel that?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like, yes, I totally get it. I don't know if I can verbalize it, but I absolutely get it.
Feel like, oh, all high and mighty because you had a baby.
It's
Okay.
it comes off a little self-righteous in a way.
I think that's the way you say it, but it's true though. It's true. And so my friends, but none of them live here. I have a few friends that live here. They're not that many. What I have that is amazing is Marta. God bless Marta. Marta is my nanny, but she's a lot more than that.
Shout out to the nannies.
She's the one. She's the one that has helped me from the moment that he was a month. So when he was born, my family, my brother, my father, everybody came here. It was just a phenomenal, this celebration of life. This is the beautiful thing about when you have a baby. People are immediately happy about it. It's a life. There's nothing. It's nothing short of a miracle.
Yes.
The thing was, when he was born, we had some complications. He was in the NICU for a little over. It was 11 days, and I got COVID too, so I couldn't go visit him. It was a bit of a shit show.
Yeah.
So that's how it started off, and I was like, oh my god. I mean, but my family was there, so it was awesome. But then my family started leaving.
One by one.
One by one, they started leaving. And the day my brother left, who was the last one to leave, part of me was like, I don't want him to leave because then we are alone.
Right.
But part of me was like, I need them to leave.
You need to embrace this.
I need to leave. This is it. This is my life right now. The sooner it starts, see, I'm a Capricorn. I want, let's suffer now. Let's get it.
I'm a Capricorn too.
Yeah.
Let's get it over with.
Let's get it over with. So, and it was fine. Here's the thing. In our head, things are worse than what they actually are. And if they get worse, you have the tools to deal with it.
Well, you earn those tools because you
earn the tools. Everything that whatever happened in your life is building you up to wherever it is that you need to be. And I feel like most of us, all of us, we are where we're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I was supposed to be a single mom by choice.
What would you tell someone who's contemplating doing the same? Like, what would you say to them in terms of questions to ask yourself, realities that you might have to face now that you are on the other side of it?
So I would think, why don't I have kids? Well, because I haven't found the father of my children. Can I do it without one?
Mm-hmm.
And if the answer is yes, and you have resources, because this is hard, then do it. So many other women with far less resources than I have done this with more than one baby.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it. It's not glamorous and it's hard. And we are not meant to raise kids by ourselves. We are not, and I'm not talking just me as a single mom. I'm talking about
as a
moms,
race, as a human race.
As the way that we are now, the way that our society is built, where we have, when you go and you visit, tribes and stuff like that, they're raising kids together.
Communally.
To the point where you don't know who the mom is. Mm-hmm. That's how it should be. But, this is how we live. It's very hard, not just for me as a single mom. I think that a mom who's a stay-at-home mom, a mom who is a working mom, it's hard because it's immensely isolating. I think it's harder, yes, if you don't have a partner. I think it's really hard if you have a partner and they're not supportive.
Right.
And so there's just so many different scenarios. I think that this was my path.
Yeah.
This was my path. Because I know I have friends who have had kids with a partner, and guess what?
They're still alone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think that if you can envision yourself, do it. It's hard. I don't walk into it thinking, I know, bro, I got this. Lorelai Gilmore did it. I can do it too. No, bro.
Is there any way to prepare? If...
No. I don't know if prepare because nothing is really what you think is going to be. But at the same time, again, I had my kid at a good age. I saw my friends go through it. So I feel, for example, my best friend, she was the first one to have a baby. And she was she was young, it was before her 30s. And bro, after we started having kids, I told her, I don't know how you did it. You didn't have anyone to go to just...
She was like the first mom.
She was the first mom to... You didn't have anyone to look to. I have all my friends.
Right.
My kid gets a fever. What do I do?
You have like 10 friends you can text.
Or I'm feeling like the most disgusting person on earth right now because I'm still wearing my PJs and it's 4 p.m. and there's a stain here and I'm not really sure what it is. And they totally get it and we laugh about it.
Yeah.
This was good. I think it's great to be a mom when you're older.
Yeah.
And when you got your shit together. Because it also gives... Sometimes I'm like that dog sometimes in that meme, things are burning. And like,
oh, and everything's fine.
But
everything is
fine.
Yes.
Everything is fine. Like there's nothing, like my grandma used to say, the worst thing that can... the only thing that doesn't have a solution is death. Everything else we can work on it.
Figure outable.
And so like I used to get stressed out about things. Doesn't affect me.
Change your whole life view.
Yeah. It has made me a more whole person in many ways. It does. He's so cute. So adorable.
And you can't see, but we've got toys and stuff.
Yeah,
his presence is here.
He's just this... I wanted to raise a good human being. I think he's going to be a good human being. We're working on it. I want to give him, and I know that one day he's gonna give others.
Yeah.
I feel like the world, when I talked about it, I didn't know if I want to have kids because of the way the world is. It says, what is the world if not just a bunch of adults who probably had crappy childhoods?
Yeah.
What if, these people who ended up doing just awful things in life, maybe they would have had somebody hold their hand a little longer. Things would just have been different. And I think I don't know, but I feel that he's going to be a great person.
I mean, if that's your intent, then I think that guides the way that you parent and the way that you lead your own life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's totally worth it.
And looking back, that big question, what is something you wish someone would have told you?
Oh, nothing. Just hold my hand.
That would have been the biggest
Just hold my hand.
impact.
Don't say anything. Just hold my hand.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And what do you hope your older self is telling you right now?
Oh, bro. My older self to me.
What do you hope?
My older self to me now?
Yeah.
Like my older self?
Yeah. Like if you close your eyes and you envision yourself, let's say you're like 75, 80 years old, and the way that you would speak to your younger self, what do you think your older self is telling you right now?
Stop being such a stupid bitch.
Damn. Why do you say that?
Sometimes it's a joke that I have with one of my best friends.
Yeah.
We would joke. Have you ever seen My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend?
Oh, the show? I did, but you know what? I stopped watching it because she got really dark.
It gets dark.
Yes.
It gets very dark.
And I was like, ooh,
very
it's
deep.
not so fun
It gets
anymore.
dark. But did you ever remember the song "Stupid, Stupid Bitch"? There's a song called "Stupid Bitch."
No, I don't.
And so whenever
I
we're
know
doing-
my Getting Ready song.
And so whenever,
The Getting Ready song. That's a classic.
With my best friend, we watched it, and so whenever she says something about herself that I feel I don't like she'll say like, "Oh, I'm so whatever, I'm so fat or whatever."
Yeah.
I'll be like, "Stop being such a stupid bitch." Like say,
yes.
knock yourself out.
Like in a friendly way.
Yes.
Yes,
In a
yes.
totally friendly way.
Yeah.
So what would my older self tell me? That I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
I think that's perfect. Cheers to that.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a wrap.